Hey everyone, I'm here with Alexa Grabell, the CEO and co-founder of Pocus. Alexa, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
So tell me a little bit about Pocus. What do you all do?
Yes, so Pocus is an AI prospecting platform. So we give reps a systematic way to build really high quality pipeline. So customers like Monday.com, Canva, Asana generating 500 million in pipeline a quarter for our customers.
That's very cool. Tell me about the founding story. I saw that you all were just founded in 2021, so you're relatively young, right?
Yes. So actually, I was in sales ops before this, and I was essentially building Pocus internally, taking data that lived all over the place to help our sellers figure out, all right, what do I need to know about my prospects or customers, and how can I engage with them thoughtfully? And so after where I was in sales ops at Data Miner, I left, went back to business school at Stanford, met my co-founder, and founded Pocus with this vision of how can we supercharge sales teams? So help sales teams spend their time selling and not just digging through a bunch of data.
This preceded a lot of the LLM stuff, and I saw on your website you guys are doing a lot with that. So how has that shifted as technology has shifted? And what did you start with, and how has that changed?
So much. I mean,
Okay.
and we're still at the very beginning. I think if you ask me this 3 years from now, it's not going to just be so much. It's going to be like so much. So it's we're still at the very, very, very beginning days of AI in sales, which is exciting. We started with this concept of product-led sales, of going into PLG businesses and unlocking users already on their product so that sales teams can help with expanding or cross-selling new products. Where we've since evolved is AI can now unlock so much data so fast, so many insights and signals and research. And so now, instead of just unlocking product usage data, we can literally unlock any insight that a rep would ever want quickly and at their fingertips. So that just expedited things a ton and unlocked so much more value for sellers.
Talk to me about that, because it's really interesting, because you were on a pathway, you had an idea, vision for a product, and then you see this kind of magical gift of technology that makes you move much faster. So talk to me how that shift happened and how you all worked through it and made sure you were taking advantage of it.
Yeah, it was a tricky balance of not wanting to build AI for the sake of AI and really digging in to find the core problem that needs to be solved and then building it with AI. So for us, where we saw that need was how can we make humans plus AI in prospecting even more efficient? We didn't take the belief that AI can replace sellers just yet. Instead, we took the belief that AI can supercharge sales teams and actually make sales reps so much more efficient that in theory, they can have double the size of their books. And so leaders can hire fewer, smarter reps that have this AI copilot that can help them do more and better. So for us, it was really thinking first principles of what's the problem that needs to be solved? That's pipeline prospecting. How do we solve it? And where can AI help us leapfrog that solution?
That's awesome. Can you tell me a little bit about, describe the product for me, like
Yeah.
practically, like what it looks like, and how you also help sales teams?
Yes. So two main important parts. First, we have a series of AI agents that are called knowledge agents that learn everything about our customers as well as their customers. And so what's happening is it's scraping internal data like your CRM, your product usage, your call recordings, and external data. So podcasts, 10Ks, news, bringing that together and then feeding that into something called a relevance agent. And that agent is getting really, really, really smart on your business and your prospect's business. And it's essentially as smart as your average sales rep. From there, that then recommends to sellers, these are the leads you prioritize. This is the strategy for how you're going to go after them. And here's actually how you outbound.
That's really cool. So one of the things that I saw on your site is, you guys are young, but you've gotten a lot of traction, like huge companies, raised a lot of funding. Talk to me about that. It seems like the product's really found its market. What did you all do to do that? Or is this something that the market really just kind of pulled out of you because you were building something that everybody really wanted?
Yeah, I feel very fortunate that we get to work with these awesome customers and it's key part of their go-to-market engine at this point. A lot of it is blood, sweat, and tears of just spending so much time with customers, like in their office, in their brains, trying to unpack how can we become so sticky and core to their business. And it was a lot of iteration. It was the first 2 years of just building and iterating and building and iterating until we figured out, okay, this is what really is going to move the needle for our customers. So it's a mix of, yes, we have the market pull of this is a top initiative that every single sales team cares about. And we were also, iterating so much so quickly until we got there.
That makes sense. So what's your pitch to candidates? Why is Pocus a great place to work?
Yeah, a couple things. First, what we were just talking about. This is a massive, massive opportunity and market. So when you think about the sales tech landscape, there is just going to be a totally different tech stack that is all AI native and AI first, and it's going to fundamentally change the way we work. We are in the beginning of it. And so getting in now and looking back 10 years from now, it's going to be like, I don't know if I can curse on this podcast, but like a holy shit moment of
Yeah.
how big we get with that. I'd say also we are a tiny startup, like you mentioned, but we do have big customers where we're generating 70% of their pipeline. And so you get the benefit of having real customers and real value, but also a small and scrappy team. And the last thing I say is you're going to work really, really hard, but you'll have fun and you'll completely advance your career just by getting exposure and opportunities that you wouldn't get elsewhere.
How do you guys think about the vision of the company? Like 5 years from now, you're completely successful. You've hit all your milestone. What does Pocus look like in 5 years or so?
Yeah, so our vision is to supercharge sales teams. For us, we are the go-to stack for sales prospecting. And so there is this legacy tech stack of what I'll call SaaS first tools for prospecting. You think ZoomInfo, Sixth Sense, Outreach, all of these tools. Those won't exist. Pocus is the place that you go for that.
And what are the big milestones over the next year that you have to cross or prove that you're on your way to these goals?
Yeah, there's a couple. One is we're building out a sales team. And so making sure that we can build that repeatable sales engine, and both in the pipe gen and closing aspect. We do it as a small team, but you have to figure out now, how do we do it bigger and how can we make it scale? And how do we make sure that we're not scaling linearly revenue to people? We're making it really, really efficient. Other milestones is from the product side. We have some feature parity work that we want to get to. We've spent a lot of time building a product that's next better than anything. And then there's stuff that we have to do to kind of fill the gap of being more of a platform experience.
That's awesome. I want to talk a little bit about how you all work. It's 3 years getting all these clients. It seems like you guys have insane product velocity. So give me a picture of what the team looks like. Where are you all located? And then I'd love to dive in into the nitty gritty of how products get built.
Yeah, so team, we are distributed, but mostly New York SF. I really am trying to get the team together more, whether that's hiring primarily New York SF, or we do team retreats twice a year, and we'll do kind of individual team retreats more often. So I see someone on the team every single week, which is great. In terms of how we work, it is a very, very fast-paced culture. I'd say it's not a 9 to 5. We know speed is our competitive advantage. We're kind of holding this bar of this, like, we are going to set crazy goals and just like have these intense work sprints to get to those goals. And so it's a intense culture, but I'd say it's also really fun. It's no one takes themselves that seriously. We know we're not doctors performing heart surgery. So we like to, have fun along the way as well.
What about your values? I saw a few on the site. Like if you had to rank your top 2 as a company, what would they be?
Can I give you my top 3?
Let's do that. Sure.
So the one that everyone says, someone at Pocus says once a day, at least, is Ship-Iterate, which means ship and iterate. And so what that really means is don't overthink decisions. Get something out there, learn, and then we'll fix it later. And so it's this mindset of acting with extreme urgency and always asking yourself, is this the best use of my time right now? And how can I do it as fast as possible? Ship-Iterate it later. So that's one that everyone always says. It's, oh, how much time should I spend on this? Now I'll just Ship-Iterate it and come back to it later. And then the other 2 I'd say are more about how the team is. We say we're delusionally optimistic. So there's always going to be problems. And we are kind of, bias that we're going to be the winners in the space, even though it's a massive opportunity and people might think we're crazy. And then the other thing I'd say is we're humble overachievers. So there's no ego. It's a very flat hierarchy. Everyone just works hard and does whatever it takes.
I'd love to dive into Ship-and-Iterate. Like one of the things, you hear this from a lot of startups, but I haven't heard it in this way, which I really like. But how do you all ensure that you're not leaving things out there half-baked while you move on to the next thing?
So there's two different types of decisions. There's reversible and irreversible decisions, right? So the irreversible decisions you can't ship-rate. So that's going to be what is our product roadmap for the next quarter? That's going to be hiring someone, firing someone, promoting someone. It's going to be what market do we want to expand to? Those are things that you can't ship-rate because you have to be thoughtful. So those where we worry about, are we leaving something on the table? Is something half-baked? What you can ship-rate is if it's an irreversible decision. So things like maybe not the full product roadmap, but we want to run a 2-week sprint and an experiment on how this product feature will land, or positioning, or a website update, or a sales pitch deck, or, the list goes on. Those things should be, and if you leave something on the table, great, that's a learning. We'll include it later.
And do you have a process to say, okay, we're going to check 1 week later, 2 weeks later to see how this goes, and either we kill it, improve it, or something?
It depends. We do, for those bigger decisions, we make decision docs.
I see.
So we'll have kind of who's the owner, who was involved, what decision we made, why, what were the other alternatives that were out there, and so that we can always come back to it.
That makes sense. When it comes to, you mentioned product roadmaps and the quarterly roadmaps, but like just in general, how does something go from kind of an idea to actually, in production? Can you walk me through that process?
Yeah. So it always starts with customers or prospects. So once we start to hear themes over and over again to the point where you feel like you get on a call and you know exactly what the person's going to say before you even say it, that's when you say, okay, there's a here. There's something, or there. I don't know what the saying is, but there's something there.
I get it. Yeah.
And so, here, there. But there is something that we need to dive into more. So we usually start with that. Then we'll mock up really ugly Figmas of just, this is what the world could look like. We usually show it to either like an alpha tester, someone on our team who's in sales that can give us feedback, or some customers that we work closely with and have a good relationship. Then we'll continue to make another iteration of the Figma of, hey, how does this land? What does this look like? How would you use it? How do you react? And then from there, we build an MVP. And the MVP should be ugly. It should be buggy. It should be not perfect. The goal is just to get it out there and get feedback as fast as possible. And then you can go to alpha testing, which we do with our internal team, beta with some, customers that are open to having the beta feature and giving feedback, and then GA. So for us, it's building with customers as much as possible and not letting our insights kind of bias. Like, we want to lead with curiosity, not lead with, this is what we build.
For the initial just get it out there buggy thing, who's using it then? Is that just the internal team, or is that your like the developers that are working on it, like before you actually send it out to alpha?
So we'll do the internal team. So an SDR, AE on Pocus, honestly, everyone on Pocus will all start using it. Sure. There's also, we've developed such good relationships with some customers, especially the early ones that have taken a bet on us, that we have them in Slack and we'll be like, as casual as, hey, we just built this thing.
That's
cool. Can you test it, break it, give us feedback? You don't have to pay for it yet. Just let us know what your thoughts are.
That's really cool. I'd love to talk about, what's interesting is you all are scaling up sales and you build a sales product, right? So you get to really test all of these things really deeply early. Has that made it easier for you all to build, or is it having these customers in Slack that's made it easier to kind of build and try new things out?
Both. Because we're not our own ICP, unfortunately. So we sell to mid-market customers.
I see.
Where you have to, a lot of the things that you have to worry about of, okay, how do we make sure that the SDRs and AEs can work well together, and how the frontline managers, second line managers, CRO interact, and how do we make sure that the full engine is operating? So for that, we have to work with our customers. For the actual day-to-day work of research and prospecting, yes, absolutely. Like, we have various Slack channels of both go-to-market and engineering in the same channel of just constant feedback and ideas. And so that, of course, helps the iteration cycle as well.
That's cool. Do your engineers work directly with the sales team, or is like there a product manager in between, or how does that work?
We have our head of product, but it can be direct for sure. Our head of product is actually extremely involved in customers as well. So she'll be on every single customer rollout for the first time, actually. But yeah, we do workshopping sessions where the engineers sit with the go-to-market folks, especially at our we have offsites twice a year, and we always do an overlap project of go-to-market engineer where the engineers will watch go-to-market do something and kind of figure
That's
out
cool.
what are the kind of areas where there can be improvement.
I'd love to talk about you and your leadership style. The company's grown quickly, so I'm assuming you've had to change and probably will have to continue to change as you scale up more. Can you talk to me a little bit about like how you like to lead your team?
It's a great question. You should ask my direct reports that.
Sure.
I'd say my leadership style has definitely evolved and will continue from kind of two people founding to hiring your first people, then to those people having direct reports. It changes. I think that my leadership style is with my direct reports, I will let them do their work. I'll be hands off until I want to go deep into the weeds and I can dissect everything possible. So I have a lot of trust in everyone that reports to me and a lot of respect. And I know that they can do their job next better than me. I have no idea how to, run marketing, run CS, but also I will get in the trenches. I will go into like, how is this customer using Pocus and why, and who are our stakeholders? What are we expanding them? Because it helps me also lead better and have intuition on the market.
And how do you spend your day to day now as the team has gotten bigger?
It depends on the month.
Sure.
Right now, I try to pick about 3 things a month that I need to go all in on. So for me, this month, those 3 things are sales. I'm going deep on actually doing sales with my sales team, running deals alongside them. 2 is hiring the sales team. So both the head of sales, AEs, SDRs. And 3, I'm spending more than half the month actually in person with the team at offsites, both for go to market, both for full company. So really focus on making sure that those are a good use of time for everyone.
That's awesome. What about talent selection? I'd love to hear are there any attributes you all look for or that you found really predict success at Pocus?
100%. My head of biz ops actually created a framework for this. I can't
Cool.
take credit for it, but he is incredible. And how we have now predicted it more is we have 3 layers of how we actually evaluate people. So layer 1 and layer 2 is the same for every single role. Layer 3 is specific. So layer 1 is who the individual person actually is. And so I don't know if this is harsh to say, but they have to be smart, they have to be humble, they have to be optimistic, they have to be curious. And then layer 2 is will they thrive, not just survive, but thrive in Pocus's culture. So do they have a high bar of excellence? Can they work at a fast pace? Are they scrappy? Are they collaborative? And then layer 3 is do they have the right skills and experience for this specific job? So you can imagine that looks very different for engineering versus our head of sales hire.
And do all of these layers like have equal weight or like what's the most important layer? Or does everybody like do you need all 3 layers at like plus 90% or something like that to pass in terms of getting into Pocus?
I mean, layer 1 and layer 2 are more important to me than anything.
Mm,
Like if you have an ego, if you kind of
right.
are pessimistic, if you
Right.
lead with direction versus curiosity, you're not going to survive here
Yeah.
or enjoy it here. So to me, those are non-negotiables. The things that are negotiables are the skills and expertise. And
Mm,
when it is negotiable is how fast I think someone's slope is. So can they learn really, really
right.
fast on the job?
And where did these specific attributes come from? Was it like just learning? Was this something that you found that you wanted as part of the company? How did they come about?
Messing it up a lot and then
Sure.
getting it right a lot. So constantly evaluating who are the people that have been so successful at Pocus, just keep giving them more and more work, taking on more responsibility, driving so much impact. And then who are the people that didn't work out here? And then finding those trends.
And then how are you testing for this? How are you evaluating this? Is it an interview process, work samples, like working with people? Like how do you decide that people are meeting these bars quickly and efficiently actually?
Yeah, so there's various interviews. The typical interviews you would think I have some good questions I like to use. We also do take homes. So we'll give them a problem that we're actually working on today. we'll always do a live role play or working session. So right after this, I actually have a working session with a head of sales candidate where I give them
Cool.
a real problem that we're solving, and me and my co-founder act like, this is the three of us in a meeting.
Sure.
Back channels are really, really important. And now I'm making a requirement to meet every single candidate in person before we give them an offer.
Why is that? Like, what is that? What does that help you prove?
It just accelerates the knowledge of how you'll work with this person. Spending 3 hours with someone, working on a problem in person, and then going out to dinner with them, you can just learn so much more than these Zoom interviews.
Makes total sense. So as you think about the next few months this year, like, what are you most excited about for Pocus?
Everything. I'm excited to have a sales leader come in. And work with them on these deals and accelerating our growth. I'm also so excited about the new AI features that we've built to unlock more data and have a more agentic approach. We've onboarded a ton of our customers and some new prospects onto this, and once we start seeing the impact at scale to hundreds of customers, it's going to be such a cool experience.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Alexa. This has been awesome to hear about Pocus. If people want to learn more about Pocus, where should they go?
I'm always on LinkedIn, so feel free to DM me there.
Awesome. Thanks, Alexa.
Thank you.